Ever like watch an ice cube melt and you just, I don't know, you get this feeling like there's got to be more to it.
It's funny you should say that.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of at the heart of how Rudolf Steiner wanted us to approach science.
Really?
It's about like really experiencing the world, not just, taking it for granted.
So less textbook, more like awe and wonder.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're diving into today.
I am so ready.
Steiner's approach to science, straight from his light course lectures.
And those were, remind me, those were for
Teachers, actually, at the very first Waldorf school, Steiner wanted them to get that teaching science, it's not just about like spitting out facts.
right.
It's about cultivating, that sense of wonder we were just talking about.
Getting kids to see the world, not just memorize it.
Mm.
So he wasn't saying like toss out your textbooks. It was more like, hey, open your eyes to what's behind the textbook stuff.
Exactly. You got it. He called the usual approach, get this, hypothetical reductive mathematical.
Levsky. Kitschy.
Right. But basically, he felt like it reduced everything to just like a lifeless machine.
Ignoring the fact that we're alive and experiencing the world.
And that we're conscious beings.
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
It's huge. So instead of saying, here's the formula for how ice melts, he'd be like, hey, get up close and personal with that melting ice cube.
I love that. Yeah, he'd want you to use all your senses, Feel the temperature changing. Notice those little subtle shifts.
Way beyond just putting a label on it.
Exactly. It's about engaging with it fully,
Yeah.
experiencing it. And he used that exact example in the text, the ice melting, to make this point.
It's like the difference between like reading a recipe and actually tasting the dish.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And Steiner, he took this even further, believe it or not. He wanted to connect what we see out there in the world
The melting ice.
with what we experience inside,
Yeah.
in our own minds and bodies.
Like when he talked about the brain being, get this, buoyant. I mean, what?
Right. That one gets me every time, too. He points out that our brains, they literally float in that cerebrospinal fluid.
Wild.
And that buoyancy, it impacts our consciousness itself.
It's like physics class just got really personal.
Right. It's a perfect example of how Steiner saw those physical laws we always hear about connecting to our inner experience. And you know where that leads, right?
Oh, I think I do. We're talking about Steiner's whole view of like how everything's interconnected, like with light and darkness and color and
You got it.
Yeah.
He didn't see those as separate things at all, but as forces, all intertwined, always interacting.
just like he saw us humans as totally bound up with the natural world.
One big cosmic dance.
Okay, hold on. I gotta say, brain buoyancy is going to be rattling around my head for a while.
Right.
Like physics class never got that personal.
And that's what I love about Steiner. Always finds these amazing links between stuff we think is totally normal.
Melting ice, floating brains.
Exactly. And, those profound mysteries of life.
Totally.
And this whole thing, it really gets at a distinction he makes between, ready for this, kinematics and mechanics.
Ooh. Yeah, those are some words I haven't heard in a while. Probably since like high school physics when I was supposed to be taking notes.
Oh, I hear you. But they're super important for Steiner. See, think of kinematics as like the pure study of movement. Like imagine those shapes moving around on a chalkboard. That's kinematics. Mechanics, though, that's where things get real, That's where you add in gravity, friction, all those forces that act on actual stuff.
So kinematics is the theory. Mechanics is what happens when you trip and fall.
Pretty much. And Steiner felt like too often science kind of gets stuck in that theoretical world, the chalkboard world.
Forgets about us messy humans.
Exactly. We're not just abstract points moving through space. We're part of something much bigger, much more alive.
Okay, and this is where those central and universal forces come in, right? The stuff that sounds almost like a little mystical.
You got it. See, central forces, those are the ones we're used to. Gravity's a perfect example. Pulls everything towards the center, right?
Yeah.
But Steiner, he said life. Life works differently. He said life operates through universal forces.
Universal meaning?
They're coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
The whole universe, not just one central point.
Whoa. So it's like instead of being pulled in one direction, we're being, influenced by everything all at once.
Exactly. Imagine a dance, but instead of one dance partner, you've got the entire cosmos swirling around you.
Now that's my kind of dance floor.
Right. And that's how Steiner saw living things, always interacting with this incredible web of forces, way too complex to pin down with just a few formulas.
So that's why he said you can't just reduce a living thing to, like, a simple machine.
Exactly. It's not just a few gears and levers. It's this incredible expression of, well, the universe itself. And you know what's really wild? Steiner believed this interplay of forces even shapes how we experience the world through our senses.
Get out.
He even compared, get this, he compared the human eye to a metamorphosed ear enclosed by a metamorphosed larynx.
A metamorpho... Okay, now they're just messing with me.
I know, it sounds crazy, right? But remember how Steiner sees things? The human being is a microcosm, a tiny reflection of the whole universe, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So he's suggesting that even our physical organs, our eyes, our ears, they're not just these separate things, they're all expressions of these universal forces, shaped by the same principles that govern the entire cosmos.
So we're not just talking about a different way of doing science, we're talking about a whole different way of seeing reality. And I gotta say, it's pretty mind-blowing.
That's Steiner for you. And you know what? This actually leads us to one of the most, I think, mind-bending parts of his whole view.
Hit me.
His understanding of light and color. Get ready to go beyond the rainbow on this one.
Okay, you got me. Beyond the rainbow it is. Lay it on me. What did Steiner actually say about light and color?
Well, forget those prisms, splitting light into a spectrum.
Okay, already breaking the rules. I like it.
It's more like, imagine an artist's palette, right?
Okay.
Where you're blending light and darkness together to create all the amazing colors.
So not just like light on its own.
No, Steiner. He saw color as this interplay, this dance between light and darkness.
Hold up. Are we talking about darkness like as the absence of light? Or something more like active?
You got it. Active. He didn't see darkness as just an empty space where light isn't, but as its own force. Like a partner to light, shaping everything we see.
So, like, when I see a red apple, it's not just that the apple is reflecting red wavelengths and my eye is picking that up.
Well, he wouldn't necessarily disagree with that part, but...
There's a but. There's always a but. Right.
Steiner always goes deeper. He'd ask, okay, think about looking at that red apple through a red stained glass window.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You still see red, right?
Yeah.
So the usual explanation is that the glass, it absorbs all the other colors and only lets the red light through.
Right, makes sense.
But Steiner, he had a different take. He said it's not just that the glass is passively absorbing the other colors.
Okay, what's it doing then?
He said the red in the glass, it's actively working with the light, shaping it, allowing that redness to come through even stronger.
So it's like helping the red express itself even more.
Exactly. While the darkness, it's interacting with the other colors, preventing them from, stealing the show.
So the darkness is like, I don't know, a stage manager, making sure only the red light gets the spotlight.
I love that analogy. It is like a performance, isn't it?
Yeah.
And every color, it's like a different dance between those two forces, light and darkness.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. And we've got to wrap up soon, but I can't let you go before asking, what about the other colors? They each get their own little dance, too.
Absolutely, each one is unique. But he did say something really interesting about red and blue in particular. He said they're like polar opposites.
Oh, how so?
Red, he said, that's light, working its way into the darkness.
Bold move, light.
Right. But blue, he said, that's darkness expressing itself through the light.
Wow. That's quite an image. So red is like the light's journey into darkness, and blue is the darkness revealing itself, maybe, through the light.
You got it, like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Both showing us something essential about light and darkness and maybe even reality itself.
Man, we've gone from ice cubes to like the deepest mysteries of the universe. I'm definitely going to be thinking about this one for a while.
Me too. And that's the beauty of Steiner. He constantly challenges us to see those connections between the everyday world and, well, the cosmic dance.
It's like he's saying, hey, the universe isn't out there somewhere. It's right here in front of us, in a melting ice cube, in a red apple, in the way we see the color blue.
Exactly. It's all connected. And once you start seeing the world that way,
yeah,
even just a little bit, it changes everything.
It certainly does. And on that note, we're going to have to leave it there. Huge thanks to our expert for this incredible deep dive, and to you, our listeners, for joining us. Be sure to check out the show notes for more on Steiner and the Light Course. And until next time, keep asking those big questions.